I didn't set out to map a love square. I was just trying to return a borrowed phone charger, which feels important to say because if I'd known why I was about to uncover, I would have kept the charger, blocked everyone involved, and moved to another city with a new name. Instead, I walked into game night like an innocent fool with snacks and optimism. There were 5 of us: me, Alex, Bree, Charlie, and Dana. At the time, the only thing I was aware of was my crush on Alex. I knew I liked Alex because my brain stopped functioning whenever they spoke, and I laughed at jokes that were, in hindsight, just statements. The usual signs of emotional ruin. Game night is where everything quietly went wrong. Alex kept looking at Bree. Not subtle glances either, but the kind where your eyes linger like you're waiting for subtitles. Alex laughed too hard at Bree's jokes, sat just a bit too close, and at one point asked Bree what their favorite cloud shape was. That is not a normal question. That is a question you ask when you are deeply unwell. I tried to convince myself I was imagining things because jealousy makes you dramatic, but the evidence was stacking up fast. It became painfully clear that Alex had a crush on Bree. This hurt, obviously, but I told myself it was fine. People are allowed to like people. I decided to handle it maturely, which lasted approximately 7 minutes, because then I noticed something else. Bree did not care about Alex at all. Bree cared about Charlie. Bree followed Charlie around like Charlie was a fragile package marked "handle with care." Bree laughed at Charlie's worst jokes, remembered Charlie's coffee order even though Charlie drank whatever was nearest, and fixed Charlie's collar once with the tenderness of someone restoring an ancient manuscript. At this point, I realized I was no longer dealing with feelings, but with a situation. Then, Charlie opened their mouth. Somehow, during a board game about sheep, Charlie managed to bring up Dana, completely unprompted. Charlie talked about Dana like Dana lived inside their phone and paid rent. They checked their messages constantly, volunteered to help Dana move a plant next week, and stared into space with the haunted look of someone in love. So now, I was sitting on the floor with pretzels, watching the emotional equivalent of everyone throwing a ball at someone who wasn't looking. The last unknown variable was Dana. Dana had been calm all night, quietly winning the game and sipping tea like this was all beneath them. Then Dana looked at me and smiled. Not a friendly smile, a knowing smile. Later that night, Dana casually asked me whether Alex preferred oat milk or almond milk. That is not a neutral question. That is future planning. That was the moment the full shape of the disaster clicked into place in my head, and I realized I was standing in the middle of a perfectly cursed love square. What made it worse was that nobody else seemed to see it. Over the next few weeks, I became the accidental emotional support desk for all 4 of them. Alex told me about their confusing feelings for Bree. Bree asked me if Charlie seemed emotionally available. Charlie asked if Dana ever mentioned them. Dana asked if Alex was single. I knew everything and could say nothing. I had the omniscience of a god and the communication skills of a damp napkin. I assumed the universe would eventually intervene, either by resolving it naturally or by dropping a meteor on us. Instead, things escalated. Bree finally confessed to Charlie at a cafe. Charlie, bless his heart, gently said they liked someone else. Bree was devastated for about 3 business days and then immediately started dating someone entirely outside the group, an outsider who somehow stabilized them. Charlie eventually confessed to Dana, who admitted they liked Alex, who admitted they liked Bree. At that point, Dana laughed, genuinely laughed, and said we were all terrible at aiming. And somehow that broke the spell. With everything finally said out loud, the tension collapsed in on itself. Bree moved on and started thriving. Charlie and Dana started dating, which somehow works in a way I cannot explain. And Alex, now free of unattainable longing, finally noticed me, as if I had materialized from thin air, despite having been there the entire time. We started dating slowly, cautiously, like people who had narrowly avoided emotional disaster. Now, sometimes I draw the love square on napkins and Alex tells me to stop trying to summon it again. I survived a love square, entirely by accident, and I would not recommend it to anyone. If you ever find yourself in one, escape diagonally and never agree to host game night.